tell you one thing I did learn about is that if there was a Jesus, and it sounds like there was somebody like a Jesus, I think that he was a pretty cool guy.
My name is James Martin. I'm a Jesuit priest, and I've written a book called A Jesuit Off-Broadway. It's the story of the 6 months I spent with an off-Broadway theater troupe who were putting on a new play about Jesus and Judas. An acting life is inherently spiritual because you have to be compassionate to your character, no matter who the character is. The same way a religious person needs to be compassionate to everybody. And I learned that in a way that I could have never imagined by working with this cast. I found out that all of them had these wonderfully interesting spiritual paths, no matter who they were. Some of them ended up Buddhist, some of them ended up still seeking, some were Catholic, Christian, Jewish, agnostic. But these wonderful searchers, and they really represented a kind of microcosm of American spirituality.
I was raised a Catholic, then I became, I got hooked into a cult, a born-again Christian cult, which took me away from my family. It messed with me so badly that I then became an atheist. But that was, in a way, a good thing because it made me question everything and read more.
But, you know, what you're describing, a lot of people, they're very devout, and then they have to pull away. Yeah. Then they have to kind of reappropriate their faith again as an adult. That's what I find a lot of times. I think a lot of people would feel frightened or embarrassed to ask a priest certain questions, and they didn't because they had to prepare for their roles. And so any sort of reluctance that they would have about asking questions about faith or spirituality or God was basically set aside.
He was someone who was just immediately comfortable and made you feel comfortable in the room, and he knew everything. Just knew any question that you threw at him.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing journey. I was going through a hard time, and Jim was really helpful, and the character was obviously having a very difficult time because he was going to hang himself.
Talks a lot about despair.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
Sam told me that in order to portray Judas as a human being, he would have to portray him as something more than just an evil person. And so that got us started thinking about the motivations for why Judas would have betrayed Jesus, which was very important for the play. So one of the explanations that we were talking about was that Judas was trying to sort of force Jesus to act. And Sam said, oh, you mean it's like throwing him into the deep end to see if he could swim, which I thought was great. I used it in a homily the next week. And then it found its way into Stephen's play. Just from our conversation came this, I thought, a great insight and a great way of explaining it, and frankly, the way that I explain it now to parishioners.
I don't know a lot of priests. I haven't met a lot of priests, but I have a feeling Jim is an exceptional... I know he's an exceptional person, and I have a feeling he's an exceptional priest. But again, I haven't met a lot of priests, so, you know.
I paid him to say that. Isn't he good at reading those lines? Thank you for reading those lines. One thing I didn't expect was how fun it would be. These were great people. They were very affectionate and open and intelligent and free-spirited. You know, in the church sometimes you don't get an opportunity to work with people who are that open-minded and free-spirited and fun and funny. So it was a nice break for me to be around people for whom religion wasn't something to be taken so seriously, you know, because I always tell people if you're deadly serious about religion, you're probably seriously dead about religion as well.